nhớ tới có cho cái sáng này các sáng hai địa cho cái tu chùa và lưu dây rồi yếu tàu lòng thua tờ cho chế nâng mong và tàu giải thiết sĩ cho cái ba ôn tu dù thầu là một chùa cho cái chỉ sĩ hậu sinh giờ đã chi tiền và lý các sáng hai địa tỏng đây nó có yếu chủ tàu và giờ đã chi tiền thì yếu là đời tàu cho tên mình cho cái chỉ sĩ hậu sinh nhớ trong mong lưu dây lưu rồi. In your opinion, what do you think are gaps the community needs to address to ensure Hmong families are receiving continued support and care when it comes to domestic violence? What do you think are the necessary next steps in addressing domestic violence for the Hmong community?
我就古时候他被老早好过医生，如何偏没到被人也就知，就从就那叫我了，也叫东财这正对面都没有更头。古时候他可能要到好过医生，被从家嘛，一比到点那种个日子只是后生，被有点呢，我都叫是他问题，头呢我都叫了目中的我只能老是你叫生。đâu nó cho sẵn lời mà tôi đã hô của ý sẵn chỉ cho bé của ý sẵn tôi chỉ tao nên trong bao bé yếu xa này một trở đi khỏi này cho kinh chờ khỏi thì của xã hải này nó hải cho đồ xa ý xeo kỳ đồ bé dây trồng mong cho chùa tù thế rồi có chỉ mua niệm một gì chỉ mua cứ một tí chỉ mua tù cho nó cho ua chỉ có yếu trồng đâu ta chỉ yếu nông giả phê nó họ đó là cho có lời thó tôi đó của ý sẵn bé yếu ba có họ thì bây hay cho người đây trong cỏ là do cái trong cái nhiệt chỉ sĩ sau ai do có ta cho cái chia sẻ có chỉ muốn niệm một gì chỉ muốn tụi cho nó cho của ba có là thọตัวđó của ý sinh bây giờ ba có bây giờ đời có tên tên mình nó thế giờ mà này sĩ sau là trong cái nhiệt chỉ họ thọ câu nó của xã hội ít là cho cái hay cái bên mong vấn đề bây giờ mình tôi mình nhung nên trong cái nhiệt chỉ luật nên chính cho bây sĩ giả sĩ chơi ta nông ta mò bây tụi mình nhung tới chỉ có một câu ý xong chơi lỡ luôn năng lỡ chơi xa khía bây vì giờ lỡ thua cho cái bây sĩ giả sĩ chơi lỡ chơi tuần sai nữa một bỏ ít tuần năng chỉ chia chỉ tuần năng chân chơi chỉ tuần năng luôn năng lọ tuần sai thì cũng thua cũng nghĩa thế cũng gì lỡ ai cũng khía một có cũng cho nó cái cho cái sĩ chơi tuần sai thì mới vô tới ít tuần năng chỉ chia nên chủ yếu thua bây giờ ta chỉ nửa buồn nửa luôn năng cái này nó cũng sáng qua hồ trâu bây cho tuần sai lùa thế rồi bây giờ năng mong nên tôi đâu tích theo nó nên nó là lùa từ freedom chỉ nên mua sai thì lúc tích theo nó nhân tụ quốc gia cho lầu thầu yêu nó thì u lợi của tây giả trong này cho con nhiều tàu cho cái tụ xe chỉ là nó nên sai thì cũng tôi cháu tích theo nó cũng ôi như phăng thiết bao cho cả bên mong luôn năng khó tâm mừng chú sĩ của nó na ta sẽ có thằng của hồ trâu cho tú cho sai lùa lùa giờ nên một cho tâm mừng cho chính nên cho cái chữ hậu sinh này tên tu tây kỳ tây miền tu miền nhòa chỉ một cái hậu sinh thọ này tua đó của ý sinh bên một cho đó này đầu bên thiệt cho cái ba này giờ này nhà này chỉ tao cho này cho cái cầu thọ này tua đó của ý sinh bên mong của ý sinh sao là chỉ khó thêm một cho cái nó đầu cho bên trên mong ai cho luôn nó cũng sáng một pha đi nó ai bên cho nhiều cho chỉ cho lùa lùa nên chọn trong hai địa bên tôi lúc tích nó bên bảo tàu bên tụ năng tụ chu bự cái cho ta sẽ bên bảo chữ tàu tròn trả tiền ngay đại tàu vì bên chỉ là mong chỉ bên muốn chờ thì mong chỉ là bên cho thầu tàu bên kia của chữ tàu chỉ có khó luôn có sáng nó thả đi nó rồi cho tu cho kỹ cho mình tu mình nhòa cho tu xài cần tàu nên nhà nên chỉ chữ tàu nên giá tôi là học của ý sinh bên yon đó nên còn xe khó nên nhà thế nên chỉ hay có tàu giờ này ai còn này tới cái cờ cho tuần chùa hỗ trợ tân cờ chúng ta đi nó là cũng thoáng của ít lọ trâu cho nhiều cho chỉ cho cứ cho ti là biết cho lùa biết tôi nhau lúc tây chờ từ bây giờ tàu cho dùng sự trợ lúc tây chờ nữa xong chạy ca cử trừ hử họ lúc tây chờ nữa giờ có chỉ tàu có giá được cho công hộ là giờ chát xài đâu có ai cũng lo được cũng sáng một thả ít loại nó vượt trâu nè
No, thank you, Council Member Jikindaya. Any of the other panelists want to answer this question?
You know, I know that the domestic violence issue, Hmong Kong thing to tackle our issue now for the past 2 years. One of the problems that I see within the Hmong community is that when people Hmong被起春夜多个那样 okay? So 被我哋讲被起春夜多个，แต่พอยัง冇个ตัวเกณฑ์เกิด ingest information 被起春多那被Hmong起春夜我哋就呢啲報道啦，啲對對明呢個 message 啊，但係依個我對明我出嚟我邊冇 community，但係你們覺得彼此的互動呢，說到啲幾多個那樣，那就邊冇每一家幾處呢多個，但是比我哋講工程多啲，但是呢，為啲邊冇摸着對明呢，嘛工程多啲，比有到邊冇着 resource，we have to find a way to target the community and we have to find a way to go to them。Instead of they coming to us, that's the only way to solve 可能呢的话，但是呢，被报道的叫 domestic violence 能接share 了within our community， 當然也是宣導，當然也是實踐，當然被下啲我就被讀人都才都冇呢，就是多他 ，okay， there gotta be a way to prevent that from happening。There got to be a way for us to go and educate the community if they are tolerating all that. It's never tolerated in a community. It's never accepted. So I'm just thinking there got to be a better way for us to tackle this issue than to educate. Because I know that 被蒙了去穿也都够了。
I agree as well too. I think the biggest gap is educating elders as well too. Just because growing up I have had personal experience since witnessing domestic violence situations happen before my eyes with aunts and uncles and relatives of my own, in which I've seen mediations happen which have not been useful and have not been helpful in any situation at all. And I think the main thing is getting rid of those stereotypes about the types of resources that are out there to help victims. Because, for example, domestic violence, order for protection, I've heard victims tell me that and so they consider that if you were to do it, it's a divorce paper. But what do they not know? That it's an order for protection that protects the victim for up to 2 years. And as long as the person who is the respondent in the case, abides by the order, does not do anything new, basically changes himself and doesn't, basically violate the restraining order in any way, then that doesn't allow the victim to basically go for more, basically, in a sense. And so you have to follow the king and understand that order for protections are not divorce documents. They're protection orders protecting the victim who is not feeling safe, who is feeling that if they don't have this piece of paper to prohibit the respondent from being able to, see them, talk to them, touch them, anything at all, then they feel that they will be in danger, that they feel that they will die. Domestic violence shelters, growing up, all I heard is "jingo fa," but that's such a bad terminology because back in the day, jingo fa basically is a woman who leaves her husband, but it's not. It's a domestic violence shelter for victims who are afraid for their safety, who need a safe place to be. They need safety, security. They need even a moment to think and collect their thoughts about what their next steps are. And so I think, if anything, just getting rid of these stereotypes in our community and educating elders about, what these resources are and what our purpose is basically here as a legal advocate. Because I know I've heard from people that have been seen as somebody who ruins people's marriages and lives, but really I'm not. I'm here to help people who need help when they need help.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm kind of on the microphone a little more than anyone, and my family try to keep it from me during karaoke sessions and whatnot too, so excuse me for that. But, in terms of coming off of the question, the gaps in the community, and I might have to put some of my ECC friends in the spot here. But in terms of building bridges, coming from the law enforcement government side, when there are issues that come up in the community. Last year there was a very tragic domestic murder-suicide case. And it's very impactful, and it specifically stuck with me. As a matter of fact, one of our investigator, Molly, was the lead on that particular case. But it's especially impactful because children were involved. And because of that, that's one too many cases already. Believe it or not, between then and today, there were many, many murder-suicide cases in between that time span. And so, because of that, law enforcement is reaching out to say, help us, right? Help us, Hmong community. Now, who is that, right? Who represents the Hmong community? Is it the leaders? Is it my clan? Is it the 18 clan council? Is it the schools that are doing things with the Hmong community? And so, credits to the Hmong 18 council because they are there trying to represent that. And there is a lot of work to do in terms of that. As a matter of fact, I was one of the pushing and the influence of trying to make something happen in addressing domestic issue and raising awareness. From the government side, from law enforcement side, when a community does not say or do anything, we're assuming that there is nothing going on. And you hear about other groups, and maybe some of my colleagues can kind of talk about what happens in other communities as well too. But when there's the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? If we as a community do not speak up, we do not raise awareness, we do not have conversations such as this, then the default assumption is there's really no issues. And so part of building that and that gap requires all the stakeholders, and I strongly believe we have them in the room here. Especially the younger people who are here today, who are still going to college, because you're going to be sitting in our positions. You're going to be replacing us in the future. And how we design that for them is vital to how we as a community come together right now. So the gaps in it requires a stakeholder, and the stakeholders are all of us.
Thank you, Inspector Chinuli. Any of the panelists want to tackle this answer before we close up for Q&A from the audience?
Well, I don't have any answer, but I have a comment. It is most important for us, Neng Xiong, you had the nature she is better, you had the pneumonia for the sake of the kids. Because you had them involved in domestic violence, it gives them displaced and doesn't give them a lot of hope in the future. And so by saying that domestic violence it's more than beyond the clans. It's more than beyond so kusate you had the try to help them out. Because the domestic violence only beyond clan leaders, beyond clan communities. And so you have to basically do something about it. You suffer thousands.
Thank you. Anything else from our panelists here before we continue on? Well, I just want to take this time to thank all our 7 panelists, whether it's from Ramsey County Sheriff's Department, from St. Paul Intervention, or from legal attorney Gong Chu from his legal law firm, to our council member, and to corrections officer Neng Xiong. Please help me give me a warm hand of applause for all our panelists. They did a wonderful job answering the questions and tackling these questions. This is a very hard and difficult issue for our Hmong community. In the past, it was pretty much a black and white topic where our community leaders and clan leaders did not want to touch on this topic because it's too sensitive. But as we move forward into the 21st century and with Hmong 18 Council and our supporters and different organizations, I believe that we can tackle this issue, and I believe that we can find resources and helps to victims and perpetrators and help them find their way through any domestic abuse situations. Going forward, I also like to thank all our supporters and co-supporters of this event. A big thank you goes out to Hmong 18 Council, Hmong College Prep Academy, the Ramsey County Sheriff's Department, VU Law Office, Early Childhood, and Council on Asian Pacific Minnesotans. Thank you guys for helping co-sponsor this event. Without you guys, this event wouldn't have been able to be done today in a very professional way for all our community and our leaders. Before we continue on to the Q&A or the question and answer session, I'd like to take this time to tell the audience that we have a couple of tables out in our front, and there's tables with resources and brochures and cards for their organizations. We have cards and brochures from the Hmong Family Strengthening Helpline. They have a table or a booth out in front. Please grab brochures from them and business cards. We also have St. Paul and Ramsey County Domestic Abuse Intervention Project. We also have the Early Childhood Family Education Hmong 18 Council. We have Hmong College Prep Academy, who is also one of our biggest co-sponsors. They have a table up in front. Continue on to another one is VU Law Office. He has some brochures and business cards out there if anybody ever need any legal advice or any help within the community. And then we also have some business cards and brochure from ECC or 911, which is our Emergency Communications Center. And we have a few of our ECC employees here, and they can help answer any questions or if anybody have any questions on emergency calls. Before I close here, I want to thank all the panelists again for your time, for coming out and being panelists and speaking on domestic violence here. And once again, I'd like to invite Council Ching Va Vu up here. He is the chair for our Family Development Committee for closing remarks. So please give a hand and welcome Council Ching Va Vu again to close this event. And I want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your important schedule to come here today and to join us. And hopefully in the future, this is something that we can help the community and resolve these issues. So Council Ching Va Vu, please give me a hand in welcoming him again to the stage.
Okay, thank you for all our panels who are here today to share their expertise and what they know and what we can do to heal this community going forward. So before I close, I would like to call our president of Hmong 18 Council, Paul Xiong, to come up to the stage and say something before I close it out.
Okay, chào lúc sáng đời bây giờ guest panel thiên đời lúc committee thiên đời bây giờ thì cho chỉ số đời giờ của một mình chỉ hậu lụy thì của tàu tàu sang đầu là thiên tất cả lo của những sẽ này khó cái khó phê gọi là bây giờ nhiệt chế số đời của này tàu bỏ thiên tàu witness bỏ là giờ tàu trâu cái chỉ cho làm đời cái tụi chỉ tụi cái là cái tụi partner. Còn nói giờ những concern những bé của Isaac nữa, của lo lù của thọ hai thiệt rồi bây giờ nhiệt chế cho chỉ chế số đó, bây tuổi nhau thì chờ nó tiền đây cũng y là, giờ có bỏ hai tiền có tụ chỉ cái, nhưng mà chỉ cho là giờ bé cái tụ từ bỏ đi bắt đầu đi cầu hay thưa hai, đi cầu công chức phủ hai, hay thưa công chức phủ hai, bây giờ tàu report đó tạm loa chỉ cái ba tôi tụi chị tụi cậu ta lấy tụi phong dư còn nói nhau tới chờ nó chỉ hai thì tụi chị vô thể được tụi nhẹ chứ giờ bé bỏ thì tụi nhẹ vô thể được tụi chị là bé như kiểu tàu hồ tạm lưỡi vậy nhau tới chờ nó vì bé mò vào hồ chi luôn giờ hai thì tụi chị vô thể được tụi nhẹ bé số đời giờ tàu hồ tạm lưỡi giờ bé bỏ chỉ ta đi ta cho nhẹ chế của hai đứa nàyนี่ยังจะเนี่ยเจอย่าไปจะสิแห่งจิมอนี่ไปว่าจิตาโลแห่งนะนี่จะเนี่ยเจวันนี้จอนี่เจหนึ่งเจนี่เราตรงนี้ตัวจีเนาะหมู่วันแห่งเชียร์เรายังมุ่งถอยเจหนึ่งยอดเชียร์ละนี่ยังว่า a lot of sacrifice ตอนนี้บอกให้เดียย่อนี่ตัวจีตุงเกิดเนาะจีลุงนี่ละนี่จะตรงเชเกป้าซื้อเลยให้เดียเนี่ยเนาะปตาบุตรบอกไม่ตัวหมอเนาะให้เดียมั่วลูกเอเจนซี่khu đó là có lần chế cái ba là do khu đó bé của Israel bây giờ ba nên bỏ đi ba tàu giờ bé ba chủ tàu bây giờ hiện nay một cho resource cái ta ít tung mỏ mà ta tiếp hành tiền là lúa organization đó có lời ba này cái ô châu đó tụ bỏ ta nó cũng là hành tiền lớn mua lúa nhà nó cùng hồng tới nhà ba cho nhà nó domestic violence or the victim nó họ nói những họ dùng là thank you giờ có more cost thế giờ có more content information more share the page của you and from now on bây giờ quên cho nên thế giờ là ba lúc khi mình có bé vợ mình là tận đây cho cho giờ bé bỏ cho tới mình đi hay là chúng ta là nó cho nên chỉ需多老早的如果提到了呢，莫一好事情的天，我要都不谈过一声，一会儿我因I feel very painful。我其实保对好容易呢，个还本来被路 community， 我啥个被讲的就只说的，莫得买，全给吧，这话的莫得买的，有年有几，那要有几的这，我对一个，你让人家去我里后了，就你让了我里后天。yêu chờ thì vô tư gì thế, giờ lên tới bây giờ thì hay thì mua họ discussion lên hôm nọ hay thì, giờ họ thầu có một cái mà lên trên cái ba này chả, theo resources, counselor, giờ này chỉ yêu cứ yêu đi hai chữ tao là, muốn theo counselor để mình cả, lo giờ theo tầm lo giờ thầu một cái mình thì họ violence này, giờ thầu họ tầm lo, tí thái cho abuser, cho nó có lợi nhà nó lợi cho perpetrator nó có lợi cho chỉ tao ta mình chỉ tao yêu là, cái con nói giờ sự thế bên phong quỷ sen, quỷ encourage bây giờ câu cho mùa cho chỉ chế cho số tu, này giờ tao này nó thì họ sẽ chơi xuống nó là tao biết tao chơi cái ba này, cái quan trọng ta này, thank you.
All right, thank you for President Paul Xiong for making this statement. And I would just like to say that we heard your voices today of our brothers and sisters up on the seat in the balcony. And we just wanted to say that we heard your voices and we wanted to work together with you. This is a healing process. This is the working process. This is something that we initiated and started, and we will be working together with these professionals so that we can create a better future for our families and our children. And I wanted to say thank you for all of you to come here today and to join us today. You all have a good day. Thank you.